Last night I got up pretty early and I wrote a little statement down. I said, my best asset is my attitude. I think I've probably got more jobs with my attitude than I have with my skill sets.
Kevin Davis served his country. He's a veteran of the Navy and the Army, and he was a civilian employee of the Department of Defense.
Well, I was injured on a job when I worked for the Department of Defense in Colorado Springs, Colorado, Fort Carson. And I was a heavy welder at the time. I ended up hurting both my wrist and my shoulder, and ended up not being able to do that heavy welder job anymore. I bought a van, a Snap-on tool truck, back in 1985, and I retrofitted it to be a welding van. And that's what I ended up living in, because it's big enough to live in, but I only had it was so full of equipment and things from Colorado that I just had a little tiny space to live in. It was just like a Navy bunk, about the size of a Navy bunk. But I had to move it every 72 hours. It gets 5 miles to the gallon. I mean, it's just horrendous. I mean, and I got $133 a month from the VA, and that doesn't buy very much propane in winter. It's just not enough. And it gets cold in an aluminum van or in any kind of van.
Kevin Davis lived on the street in his van for almost 2 years. But he's not homeless anymore.
We're set in my apartment at Auburn Square Apartments in Auburn, Washington.
What's it like living here?
Oh man, I love it. It is the coolest place to live. It's huge compared to most one bedrooms. Got my own washer and dryer, and I mean, having sink and running water and electricity. I mean, it's awesomely cool. You don't appreciate things like that, I think, until you've lost them, because it's always the norm. And then when you become homeless, you do without.
Kevin Davis and other vets aren't homeless anymore thanks to a program called Veterans Affairs Supportive Housing, or VASH. And vets are finding homes faster thanks to the King County Housing Authority's work to streamline processes in partnership with the VA and with local landlords.
KCHA has played a lead role as far as administering the HUD-VASH program here in King County. We have facilitated the conversations, brought the right people to the table. We meet with the VA leadership on a quarterly basis. We've really been driving how can we remove the barriers to get veterans into housing.
Removing barriers means a streamlined process for KCHA to efficiently serve veterans and work with critical landlord partners.
So we have a staff person that is dedicated to working with the landlords on the back end of the process to expedite the inspection process with our inspection team and process the Section 8 lease paperwork as quickly as possible. Having the dedicated teams on hand has really enabled us to have a focused effort on when we receive units that are made available by our landlord community, and the veteran is quickly matched to the unit and screened, and we can get them moved in as quickly as possible.
Working with the VA, KCHA administers housing choice vouchers for veterans and their families, and veterans receive case management and ongoing supportive services from the VA Puget Sound healthcare system.
I know that they provide a housing voucher, I believe, for veterans, and part of the program is for people who have no home, homeless vets, which is something that is kind of close to my heart.
Robin Dyer is the community manager at Auburn Square. Like all of KCHA's portfolio of asset-managed properties, a place where units are being made available to veterans.
And Kevin in particular has been really cool because he's one of the easiest applications that I've ever had, because the VA sends a worker with him, and she had aces in their places for everything. So literally, we were done with everything within about a week, with the voucher, with the inspection, with everything. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, my dad is a vet, so he's 100% disabled vet, and it's like, oh, cool. I couldn't imagine him. I'm gonna cry. It's so emotional, being homeless.
I was diagnosed with PTSD like 20 years ago, but I never got any treatment for it.
Kevin's PTSD came from the military, where he was part of a team that photographed remains of victims of plane crashes, shootings, and accidents.
And as a photographer, during most of the time, you sort of separate yourself because you're behind the lens. But those images stick in your head, and sometimes just a smell will bring them back.
Kevin's now part of a different team, working together to help him bounce back.
And there are so many people. I mean, it takes dozens of people to do this. I mean, it takes apartment managers, property managers. It takes like the VA case managers, and the people that support them and that go out into the field, and and it all started there at the ER when I found out about, you're a homeless vet. That ain't right. Let's get you some help.
Kevin is also already giving back, helping other homeless people.
Is I'm helping 3 other veterans right now. 3 other homeless people. 2 of them are veterans. Get into housing and get some more local help, and it feels good to do that because I care about them too. I take them, help them get their propane and food and fuel and stuff. Because I have a car that works, and they have bicycles, but you can't go get propane on a bicycle. And to get any amount of food, you can't either. So I go a couple of times a week and help them. And 2 of them are started on getting their housing going there, the paperwork for that. And I'd like to continue doing that. And I know where a lot of them are too, since I've been around the whole King County area. Well, not the east side, but the west side and south side. I know where a lot of them are, and it would be nice to be able to go out there and say, hey, remember me? And because I am a pretty sociable person, and being isolated, because I didn't want to be in the area where the homeless people were, just because it's depressing. And so I would usually park someplace where other homeless people weren't, and but I do know where they are. So it's nice to be able to go and help them and that kind of stuff.
Kevin Davis knows that he plays a vital role in his future, that having a place to live is just the start.
A part of it does squarely rest on me. I've got to want to do it. You couldn't just provide this and like I said, spoon feed me and teach me this stuff if I don't want to learn it. And I do want to learn it. I do want to integrate back in, and I want to be a productive member of society again.
With the right help at the right time from KCHA and the VA, Kevin Davis already is. If you are a landlord interested in renting to a veteran with a voucher from KCHA, please call 206-574-1357 or visit kcha.org for more information.